Welcome to Profiles in Valor, stories of decorated men and women serving in today's military. And now from the American Veterans Center, Tim Holbert.
The mission of the American Veterans Center is to preserve and promote the legacy and experiences of our military men and women of every generation. Most of the center's programming focuses on engaging young people, helping them to learn the value of service and sacrifice. Part of this mission involves a year-round internship program, allowing college students to work directly with our veterans and service members, including serving as guest hosts on several episodes of Profiles in Valor. Serving as guest host this week is Andrew McDaniel.
Our guests this week are First Lieutenant Clinton Cannon and Specialist Andrew Cannon, a father and son serving with the Tennessee National Guard in Kuwait. So how has it been serving overseas together?
We don't work together, but it's good to see each other. A lot of people over here don't have family, or you do make friends, but it's just not the same as blood. Although we don't work together, he does come over a couple times a week, 2-3 times a week to watch a movie at night.
Go over to the living area in his room and we watch Stephen King movies.
Gentlemen, thank you both so much for your time and for your service.
Well, thank you, Andrew.
Profiles in Valor is produced by the American Veterans Center and Radio America. To hear more profiles, subscribe on iTunes or visit www.americanveteranscenter.org.
The world entirely is at war.
Troops waiting for the 0 hour.
This is D-Day.
I got one.
Veterans Chronicles. For the next hour, join host Gene Pell and an honored roster of heroic soldiers, sailors, and fighting aviators, recalling and retelling their personal stories from World War II
a state of war
to the present day.
Allied air forces began an attack on military targets in Iraq and Kuwait.
Now the American Veterans Center and the Radio America Network present Veterans Chronicles. This special episode of Veterans Chronicles features two men whose careers in show business were largely shaped by their experience in the military. Pat Sajak, famed host of Wheel of Fortune, and Kenny Thomas, country music star and former Army Ranger. Pat Sajak joined the Army in 1968, eventually finding his way to Vietnam, where he became a popular disc jockey for Armed Forces Radio Service, hosting a number of programs, including the famous Good Morning Vietnam. In this first segment of Veterans Chronicles, American Veterans Center President James C. Roberts speaks to Pat about his service and his broadcasting career since.
Well, let's begin by talking about your early years growing up in Chicago. Your introduction to the broadcast media, as I recall, was actually through radio, right? How did that come about?
It was. Actually the first time I was ever on radio in Chicago was a lot of guys come up to me then, and to this day I still do. Guys who say, I remember listening and it was a slice of home and I really appreciate it. So I convinced myself at some level we were doing some good.
When Veterans Chronicles returns, Pat Sajak picks up his story with his return to civilian life after military service.
During the Korean War, American troops, supported by allies from 21 nations, fought valiantly at places like the Pusan Perimeter, Incheon, and the Chosin Reservoir. We must always remember our veterans who fought in Korea to preserve freedom. Between now and 2013, the Department of Defense will commemorate the 60th anniversary of the Korean War to thank our Korean War veterans and their families for their selfless service and sacrifice, bringing freedom and prosperity to the Korean Peninsula. To learn how you can join the Department of Defense 60th anniversary of the Korean War Commission in its mission to honor our Korean War vets, visit http://koreanwar.defense.gov.